Now it is time to assemble our 8 points into one beautiful star, and I'd like to show you the way it works for me, and probably it will work for you as well, because I hate that little twist in the center. It never worked and it probably will never do, so I like to show you how I do it. So what I do, I place them in a pile, so 1 up to and including 8. So you can see the fabric numbers or the numbers of my star. So there's number 1. Number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5, number 6, number 7, and there's number 8. This is how our star will be. She's a little bit bigger, but it's because of all our seams. Our next step, we will make 4 pairs. So 1 and 2 go together, 3 and 4, 5 and 6, 7 and 8. You always press your seams open. That is an essential part. And what is also important, people will judge your star and they have to match like this. Not like that, but they want it like this. So take your time. It's not a quilt in a day. Try to work as precise as you can. According to my students, I have an app, and I thought, no, I do not have an app. They said, yes, you have. I said, I'm sorry, you make a mistake. It's not me. They said, yes, you have an app. I said, okay, I do have an app. And they say, always be accurate, always be precise, and it will be perfect. And I think that's what we do here. Try to be as accurate as you can. Try to be precise as you can, and it will be perfect. So let's start first thing. Number 1 goes on top of number 2, and that means the lowest number goes on top. Or you also can say that the green point goes on top of the white points. When you do this, try to be as precise as you can. In fact, I don't want to see that there is a point underneath. We start here in the bias all the way to the end, and you stop here when you have your dotted line. Now we take one of our pieces and we stabilize her with a little piece of paper. But before you do that, go back to your machine and use a regular stitch. It could be a 2, a 2.5. It all depends on the kind of machine you have. But a 2 for a pfaff is a nice stitch length. Okay, so she's beautiful there, all the way to the end. It's a 1/4 of an inch seam allowance on the outsides. That's a little thread here. I hate it when it starts that way. Okay, I always start with my tiny back stitch. It's just on the outside of my paper, so okay. Try to stitch her. I take my time. When I'm halfway, I will stop, and there's a reason for. Okay, now I will stop. I put the needle down and I lift the foot. The reason is I will have a little bit of wiggle room to match the points, because if I know that they match now, I probably will end up with a beautiful point. If they're a little bit off, this is extreme, but if they are like this, I do have time to make small adjustment and line them up. Okay, let's see if it works. And if it's not okay, I have a solution for that too. We take it out and we start all over again. What I say, people will judge your points how they match. And this is our beautiful quilt, so it has to be as best as we can achieve. And I do my back stitch. Oh, a little bit too far. Okay. Now I open the points and I will see. I can live with this point. Can you? Okay. I take my paper out of the point and I finger press the point open. I know that's a little bit different, but I like to press my seams open. I have the feeling that my star will be so much nicer and more flat than when I have that little twist in the center. This is what I do with my quarters. I place them back in the right order. I make the other ones as well. I will press them, I will trim the little ears, and then I will make 2 halves. But I will come back and I show you the next step, how we do this and how we can make the perfect center in 2 halves. Now it is time to make from our 4 quarters or 4 pairs 2 beautiful halves, and then at the end we will make 1 beautiful star. But how do we do that? So these are our 2 points and they have to match in the center. This is what I want. I already make one to show you what we are going to do, what the final result is. This is what I do. Okay, so that little stitching line really makes the difference for me. So, but how do we do that? So what I do, again, the lowest number, 1, 2, goes on top of the highest. I place them exactly on top of each other and then I lift the one that's on top. And I almost would say I will make an hourglass. You can see there is that little hourglass, and if this match, I'm absolutely confident that I will have a point that will look like this one. So I think she looks great there. So I take my little piece of paper for my stabilizer. I close the point and I will start and do my little back stitch. And see, on the outside of the paper, it's not that I need a back stitch. This is all I do. Just a regular stitch, maybe 4 or 5 stitches. If it's not okay, it's easy to take out. But can you imagine if the center is not perfect and you've been all the way to the end, you have to take it out because you want to show people that beautiful crisp center. And if the center doesn't match here, it won't match here as well, where the points will match. So let's see how it is. And again, my seam ripper is already there. I hope I don't need it, but you never know. Well, I can tell you, I can live with this point. So what I do now, I leave the paper, I line them up again as best as I can. And now I will stitch her, and now I will make my back stitch in the piece. I still use my regular stitch length. And remember, when we're halfway, needle down, lift the foot. Let's match the points. It has to be perfect here. If this match, we can go on. And as you can see, yes, it takes a little bit of time. And I do my back stitch. And again, if it's not okay, I can take it out. Okay, let's see. The point is still good. How is she? I can live with this one as well. So this is what you do to make 2 beautiful halves. Now I can take the paper out. I can cut my little threads. I finger press my seam open, and I will do these steps with that other half. Just that little bit of extra time that you spend, prepare your piece before you stitch it. When I make my second half, I will press the seam with a little bit of steam, just a little bit. Look at this, how beautiful my star will be. I will come back when I have 2 halves to show you what we do in the center, because that is something that I like to show you as well. And then we can trim the extra seam allowance from the outside, and we will have that beautiful star that we need for our first part. Okay, now is our next step, and we're almost there. We are going to assemble the two halves together, and as you can see in my star, I am really happy with my star points, and I hope when you do your star points that they look as beautiful as well. So our next step, it is the center, and the center has to match this point here and that point there. They has to be really beautiful and crisp like this, and not like that. Is it difficult? No. Do we have to work precise? Yes. And again, what we do that little basting stitch, just the same what we've done here, just that little basting to secure it. If it's not okay, easy to take out. If it's perfect, we can go on, because then we start from here to here, turn the piece, and we start from here to here. So, but you also know that you secure your center already, so you do not have to worry about this. Okay, let's go for it. I put my fingers behind the piece, or in between it's better to say, and I try to focus on the center seams of both halves. And the first thing what I do, I try to match both seams on top of each other. And again, I try to make that little tiny hourglass. I try to hold them as best as I can. I hold them. I take one of my pieces of paper. I try to okay, let's see if it works. You do not have to use your basting stitch, but this is the way it is. Okay, just those 4 or 5 stitches, more than enough. And again, if it's not okay, it is so easy to take it out. The moment of truth. I think I can live with this, because I can make small adjustments in the center when I stitch. I will leave her the way she is. So what I do now, you can see, although it is very small, that there is that little touch of green. When I stitch, I will stay on this side of my thread, and then I will have that perfect point. And again, I will start here, I will stop here, I will lift the one that's on top, match the points, and will stop here. Let's give it a try. Okay. Try to stay on the other side of the white threads. And when it's not perfect, don't worry, we can take it out. Match the points. I'm halfway, needle down, lift the foot, match the points. You can see she is a little bit off. So the only thing I have to do now, you can see it here, just move her a little bit to match them. And now I can go on. And again, a little bit. And when it's not okay in the center, don't worry. We have a seam ripper and we can take it out. Oh, look at this. I can live with that center. How was my points? She is a little bit off. Probably I will go back and make it better. But the first thing what I do, I will go from here to here. Now we start with the second half, and again we will start in the center. We will stop here, lift the one that's on top, and we will end up here. And we do have that beautiful point that we need, because this is what it is at this moment. Okay, let's see what we do. My stabilizer. And maybe you noticed that I never pin my stars. And there's a reason for it. I always have the feeling that when I start pinning, I disturb the perfect spot that I have for my points. match perfectly. Okay, almost there. Let's see. A little back stitch. And let's see how it is. Ooh, I can live with her. And I can live with this. And of course with these points. So, the star is ready, and the only thing we have to do now, take the paper out, finger press the seam open, I always like to do that, finger pressing. It really makes a difference when you press with a hot iron. So, okay, let's go. Bridget, oh, do you want to come? Okay, a little bit of finger pressing. I always try to avoid ironing the center of a star. I will do it once, so just like this. The reason is there are so many bulk underneath, it will damage the fabric and it will burn the center. So I try to stay away from that center. But I think we have made a beautiful point. We are almost ready. The only thing we have to do is get rid of that second seam allowance. And when we have done that, when we have removed that second seam allowance, we are ready and we can go to A2. Okay, so I take her now to my cutting mat. So, I am right-handed, and that means the double holder in my left hand, I will put my blade on my dash line and I cut her exactly on the outside. I cut exactly on my line, and that means that I will have a perfect outside. We'll have a perfect circle without any problems. And again, I take my time. You also can see that 28mm rotary cutter, how wonderful it is to work with. And that new blades makes the difference. Are you ready? Our first star is ready. What do you think of it? I am very pleased with it. Thank you so much. It's a lot of work. No, it's not a lot of work. You love doing it this way. You will be OCD just like I am. I can tell you.